To begin, let's reflect on one of Marcus Aurelius's most profound insights. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This powerful thought sets the tone for today's discussion. Life is filled with challenges, obstacles, and external pressures. But true strength lies in how we respond to these circumstances. The path we walk, ultimately, is one we must tread alone, even if we share our journey with others. In the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, we find the idea that we must master ourselves, our thoughts, and our emotions, regardless of what is happening around us. This inner discipline is what allows us to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. In today's video, we'll explore the deep wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and his teachings on the necessity of walking your path alone. While the Stoics value community and human connection, they emphasize that each individual must develop their own internal strength and wisdom. Life's true fulfillment comes not from external validation or approval, but from inner harmony and self-awareness. Introduction to Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, is one of the most revered figures in history. His reflections, known as the Meditations, offer a unique window into his personal philosophy, crafted during a lifetime filled with challenges, war, and leadership. His teachings on self-control, resilience, and rationality form the bedrock of Stoic thought, offering timeless advice for anyone seeking to live a life of virtue and peace. In his personal journals, Marcus Aurelius explores the idea of walking one's path alone, of focusing inward and not relying on others for validation or purpose. This is a lesson that resonates deeply in today's world, where external pressures and societal expectations often cloud our ability to hear our true inner voice. Through Stoicism, Marcus reminds us that the power to shape our lives rests in our hands. And that begins with walking the solitary path of self-discovery and self-mastery. In this video, we will dive deeper into the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, focusing on the central idea that we must walk our path alone. This doesn't mean isolation or loneliness. It means developing the inner strength to make decisions based on reason, virtue, and self-awareness, without being swayed by external influences. Part 1. The Philosophy of Marcus Aurelius. Overview of Stoicism. Stoicism at its core teaches us that we are not in control of external events, but we are always in control of how we respond to them. The philosophy is grounded in the idea that the key to a peaceful and fulfilling life lies in our ability to master our thoughts and emotions, regardless of the chaos around us. The Stoics believed that true happiness doesn't come from fleeting pleasures or material wealth, but from virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Marcus Aurelius, a dedicated practitioner of Stoicism, saw these principles as the foundation for living a meaningful life. Through his writings, we learn that the Stoic way is one of continuous self-improvement, of aligning our will with nature and accepting the things beyond our control with grace. Marcus Aurelius as a Stoic leader. As a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced immense challenges: wars, political intrigue, and the pressures of leadership. Yet, throughout his reign, he adhered to Stoic philosophy, using it as his guide through tumultuous times. His thoughts were not just theoretical musings, but practical applications to the chaos of ruling an empire. He often wrote to himself in his meditations, reminding himself to focus on what he could control: his actions, his reactions, and his thoughts. Through his example, Marcus teaches us that leadership, whether in a grand empire or in our own lives, begins with self-mastery. His stoic mindset allowed him to remain calm and rational, even in the face of adversity, showing us that true strength comes from within. The role of nature and the universe. One of the central themes in Marcus Aurelius's philosophy is his view of the universe as an interconnected whole. He believed that everything in life, including our own actions, is part of a larger, natural order. This understanding leads to a deep sense of humility, recognizing that we are small parts of a vast and complex system. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the universe operates according to its own laws, and our role is to accept what happens, not with resignation, but with understanding. By living in accordance with nature, we align our actions with the greater good, understanding that even our challenges serve a purpose in the grand scheme. This perspective allows us to find peace, even when life doesn't go as planned. The power of rationality and reason. For Marcus Aurelius, reason was not just a tool for understanding the world, but a key to mastering our inner selves. He believed that rational thought was what distinguished humans from other animals, and that we should use it to guide our actions and decisions. By cultivating wisdom through reason, we can remain unaffected by the emotional turbulence that so often leads to poor judgment. Stoicism teaches that our responses to life's challenges should not be driven by impulse or irrational emotion, but by thoughtful reflection and measured decision-making. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that through the use of reason, we can maintain our inner calm and find clarity, no matter what storm may be brewing outside. Living virtuously, according to Stoic principles. At the heart of Marcus Aurelius's philosophy is the idea of living virtuously. To him, virtue was the ultimate goal, and everything else, wealth, status, success, was secondary. Living virtuously means acting in accordance with the four cardinal Stoic virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Marcus Aurelius believed that these virtues could guide every action, from the simplest of daily tasks to the most complex decisions as a ruler. By practicing virtue, we are not only making ourselves better people, but we are contributing to the good of society as well. For Marcus, living virtuously wasn't just an abstract idea. It was a practical way of life that helped him face personal hardships, political challenges, and the responsibility of being emperor with dignity. The influence of Stoic teachings on Marcus Aurelius's personal life. What makes Marcus Aurelius's philosophy so compelling is how deeply personal it was. His meditations were not written as a philosophical treatise for others to read, but as a series of personal reflections to help him stay true to his principles. These writings reveal a man who was constantly striving to improve himself and live in harmony with his values. It is in these meditations that we see the true power of Stoicism. It was not just an intellectual pursuit for Marcus, it was a way to navigate the daily struggles of life. His philosophy became a guide for how to lead a life that is true to one's values, one that prioritizes inner peace over external validation. In all these ways, Marcus Aurelius's Stoic philosophy offers timeless wisdom. His approach to leadership, personal growth, and virtue remains a powerful guide for anyone seeking to live a more intentional, meaningful life. Part 2. Walking your path alone. The solitude of self-discovery. In the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, there is a profound understanding that each individual must walk their own path. This doesn't imply isolation or loneliness, but rather a deep, personal journey towards self-discovery and self-mastery. It is in solitude where we come face to face with our thoughts, emotions, and desires. The path we must walk is one that no one else can walk for us, no matter how much we may seek guidance or companionship. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of turning inward, of finding peace and clarity within oneself, even in the midst of a chaotic world. This solitude is not a retreat from life, but a necessary process for understanding who we truly are and what we are capable of achieving. The importance of internal strength. To walk your path alone requires a sense of internal strength, the ability to stand firm in your own values and principles, regardless of external pressures. For Marcus Aurelius, this strength was rooted in his Stoic belief that we cannot control the events that happen to us, but we can control how we respond. This internal fortitude is what allows us to stay true to ourselves when others may try to sway us, when society imposes expectations, or when life throws us unexpected challenges. The Stoic path teaches us that the most important relationship we will ever have is the one we cultivate with ourselves. This inner strength is the foundation upon which we build our lives. Embracing responsibility for your choices. Walking your path alone means taking full responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about the idea of personal responsibility, understanding that, while we cannot control the world around us, we have complete control over how we choose to respond. Every action we take, every decision we make, shapes our journey. This awareness demands accountability. No one else can walk our path for us, and no one else can bear the consequences of our choices. To walk with integrity and purpose, we must be fully aware that the responsibility for our lives is ours alone, and no one else can carry that weight for us. The role of self-reliance. In a world that often encourages dependence on others, whether on family, friends, or societal validation, the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius emphasizes the importance of self-reliance. To walk your path alone is to trust in your own abilities, judgment, and resources. This doesn't mean rejecting help or community, but it does mean developing the confidence to rely on yourself, to look inward for guidance rather than seeking approval from others. Marcus believed that wisdom and strength come from within, and that true freedom arises when we are no longer dependent on the whims of others or external circumstances. By becoming self-reliant, we free ourselves from the constant search for external validation and begin to live life on our own terms. The challenge of embracing solitude. One of the most difficult aspects of walking your path alone is the challenge of embracing solitude. In a society that values constant connection and external approval, the idea of being alone with our thoughts can feel unsettling. Yet Marcus Aurelius knew that it is in these moments of solitude where we find clarity and purpose. It is easy to be distracted by the noise of the world, but true reflection, the kind that leads to growth and wisdom, can only occur in silence and stillness. The Stoic path encourages us to embrace these moments, to use solitude as an opportunity for deep self-reflection, to refine our character, and to realign ourselves with our true purpose. The power of inner peace. Walking your path alone also means cultivating a sense of inner peace. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that external events, whether they were wars, political intrigue, or personal challenges, were beyond his control. What he could control was his internal state. By accepting the impermanence of life and focusing on his own responses, Marcus Aurelius achieved a level of inner tranquility that allowed him to face the trials of life with dignity and calm. This inner peace is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to remain centered and composed despite the difficulties we encounter. It is a quiet strength that comes from knowing who we are, understanding our purpose, and trusting ourselves to navigate the journey ahead. The value of solitary reflection. Ultimately, the act of walking your path alone is an invitation to reflect on what truly matters in life. In solitude, we are forced to confront the essence of who we are and what we seek to become. This reflective process is central to Stoicism, as it allows us to align our actions with our deeper values, to live intentionally, and to make choices that lead us closer to the ideal life we wish to live. Marcus Aurelius believed that through reflection, we could refine our character and deepen our understanding of the world. Walking our own path requires us to constantly reflect, adjust, and grow. In the end, walking your path alone is not a rejection of others, but an acknowledgement that the journey to self-mastery is one that requires introspection, responsibility, and strength. It is a journey that each of us must take for ourselves, finding our own way in the world, guided by the wisdom of the Stoic philosophers, and the unwavering belief that we hold the power to shape our own destiny. Part 3. Overcoming Fear and Doubt. The nature of fear and doubt. Fear and doubt are universal emotions that often hold us back from reaching our fullest potential. At their core, both stem from our inability to control the future or uncertain outcomes. Fear, in particular, is a natural response to the unknown, a protective mechanism designed to keep us safe. But as Marcus Aurelius teaches us through his Stoic philosophy, we must learn not to be governed by fear. Instead, we should acknowledge it, understand its origins, and move forward despite it. Doubt, too, is a product of our perception of uncertainty. It often arises when we question our abilities, our worth, or our decisions. Yet, Stoicism reminds us that these emotions, while natural, do not define who we are or how we should live. Overcoming them is a matter of reorienting our minds toward what we can control: our actions, responses, and inner peace. The Stoic approach to fear. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of confronting fear directly rather than avoiding it. He believed that fear, like all negative emotions, arises from false judgments. When we fear something, we often imagine worst-case scenarios that are unlikely to materialize. Stoicism teaches us to challenge these assumptions, to break down our fears into smaller, more manageable parts, and to question their validity. By focusing on the present moment and taking deliberate action, we can dismantle the power fear has over us. As Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This idea is a powerful reminder that fear, rather than being something to avoid, is something we can use as a catalyst for growth. The very thing that appears to block us is often the key to our breakthrough. Facing doubt with confidence. Doubt can be a crippling force, often causing us to second-guess our decisions and hold ourselves back from pursuing our goals. But Marcus Aurelius teaches us that doubt is nothing more than a shadow that looms over us when we are not anchored in our own values and principles. When we question our path, we are often disconnected from our true purpose. The Stoic solution to doubt is rooted in self-trust and a commitment to action. By aligning our choices with our values and focusing on what is within our control, we can push through the uncertainty and move forward with confidence. Doubt is a reflection of our internal hesitation, but by acting in spite of it, we reinforce our trust in ourselves and our ability to make sound decisions, reframing fear and doubt as opportunities. In Stoic philosophy, challenges are not seen as obstacles to be feared, but as opportunities for growth. Fear and doubt, when viewed through this lens, can be reframed as tools for self-improvement. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that life's difficulties were not to be avoided but embraced. Each fear we face, each doubt we overcome, strengthens our character and builds our resilience. Rather than running from fear, the Stoic approach encourages us to face it head-on, knowing that in doing so, we gain wisdom and inner strength. When we view fear as an opportunity to test our courage and doubt as a chance to refine our judgment, we shift our mindset from one of avoidance to one of empowerment. The role of perspective in overcoming fear. One of the most powerful tools in overcoming fear and doubt is perspective. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of life, reminding himself that no matter how great our fear or doubt may seem, it is only temporary. The challenges we face today will one day be behind us, just as the fears of our past no longer hold sway over us. By adopting a broader perspective, we can see our fears in proportion. This helps us realize that most of what we fear is either unlikely to happen or beyond our control. With this understanding, we are better able to detach ourselves from the emotional grip of fear and move forward with a sense of calm and clarity. Taking action, despite fear and doubt. The key to overcoming fear and doubt is not in waiting for these emotions to disappear, but in taking action despite them. Marcus Aurelius believed that action is the antidote to fear. When we face our fears with courage and take steps toward our goals, we gradually weaken their power over us. Every small action taken in the face of fear or doubt builds momentum and strengthens our resolve. The Stoics understood that life is full of uncertainties, but it is our responses to these uncertainties that define us. By taking purposeful action, we turn fear into a teacher and doubt into a stepping stone on our journey toward personal growth. Embracing imperfection. Another important Stoic lesson in overcoming fear and doubt is the acceptance of imperfection. Fear often arises from the desire for control or the pursuit of perfection, the belief that we must have everything figured out before we act. Yet Marcus Aurelius teaches us that perfection is an illusion, and it is through embracing our imperfections that we find true freedom. The fear of making mistakes or failing is a natural part of the human experience, but it does not have to paralyze us. By accepting that we will never have complete control or perfect outcomes, we free ourselves from the shackles of fear and doubt. This acceptance allows us to move forward with greater ease, knowing that mistakes are simply part of the process. Empowerment through Stoic philosophy. Overcoming fear and doubt is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process that requires practice and self-reflection. Through the teachings of Marcus Aurelius and the principles of Stoicism, we learn to face our fears with courage, to overcome doubt with confidence, and to take purposeful action in the face of uncertainty. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we empower ourselves to live with greater freedom and purpose. The path to overcoming fear and doubt begins within, and as Marcus Aurelius so wisely stated, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By mastering our thoughts and perceptions, we can rise above fear and doubt and live a life aligned with our highest ideals. Part 4. The role of external relationships. The Stoic view on relationships. In the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, external relationships, while important, are not the primary source of happiness or fulfillment. Stoics believe that true contentment comes from within, from our own virtues, wisdom, and control over our thoughts and actions. However, this doesn't mean that relationships are insignificant. On the contrary, Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the role that others play in our lives. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, are opportunities for growth, practice in virtue, and a chance to demonstrate compassion and understanding. In the Stoic view, relationships are essential, but they should never overshadow our responsibility to cultivate inner peace and self-mastery. The challenge of external expectations. One of the greatest challenges in external relationships, according to Marcus Aurelius, is the pressure to conform to others' expectations or societal norms. Society, family, and friends often place demands on us, either through explicit requests or unspoken assumptions. These expectations can cause internal conflict and lead us away from our true path. Marcus reminds us that the only expectations we should meet are those aligned with our values and principles. By understanding the limits of our control over others' desires and opinions, we can free ourselves from the need to please everyone around us. The Stoic approach teaches that, while we should be kind and compassionate, our primary obligation is to act according to our own virtuous nature, not to meet the external demands of others. Boundaries and emotional detachment. In relationships, boundaries are crucial. While love, compassion, and support are important, it's equally important to maintain emotional detachment. This doesn't mean abandoning relationships or becoming indifferent, but rather ensuring that we do not let external relationships govern our emotional state. Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about the importance of detaching ourselves from the opinions and actions of others, acknowledging that we cannot control how others behave or how they may perceive us. In relationships, this Stoic detachment allows us to respond to others with wisdom and kindness, without being overwhelmed by emotional reactions. It allows us to love and care for others without becoming overly dependent on their approval or affection. By cultivating emotional detachment, we maintain our inner peace and remain focused on our own path. Practicing virtue in relationships. For Marcus Aurelius, the primary role of external relationships is to provide opportunities to practice virtue. Virtue is at the core of Stoic philosophy, and in every interaction, we have the chance to demonstrate wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Relationships, whether with a friend, a spouse, or a colleague, offer us a fertile ground to practice patience, understanding, and empathy. Stoics believe that virtue is something that must be cultivated in our daily lives, and our relationships offer numerous opportunities to do so. The key is to approach every relationship with the mindset of serving others, not for our own benefit, but as an expression of our shared humanity. When we treat others with kindness, honesty, and respect, we not only contribute to their well-being, but also strengthen our own character. The interdependence of human connection. While Stoics emphasize the importance of self-reliance, they also acknowledge the interdependence of human beings. We are social creatures, and our lives are intertwined with those of others. In fact, Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that we are all part of a greater whole. Our relationships with others, whether they be familial, romantic, or platonic, are integral to our existence. However, the Stoic approach teaches that our happiness and fulfillment should not be solely dependent on the behavior or approval of others. Instead, we should focus on cultivating our own character and living virtuously, knowing that our relationships will thrive as a result. The Stoic perspective encourages us to see relationships as an opportunity for mutual growth and support, rather than as a source of dependence or attachment. Responding with wisdom, not reactivity. One of the hallmarks of Stoic philosophy is the ability to respond to external events with wisdom and not reactivity. In relationships, this principle is essential. We cannot control the actions of others, nor can we always predict how they will behave. However, we can control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of responding to others with equanimity, no matter the circumstances. In relationships, this means practicing patience, understanding, and empathy. Rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally, we should strive to respond in a manner that reflects our virtues. By doing so, we strengthen our relationships and maintain our inner peace, even in challenging interactions. The importance of acceptance in relationships. Acceptance is another critical element in the Stoic view of relationships. Marcus Aurelius understood that people are not perfect, and that we should not expect perfection from others. Instead, we must accept others as they are, flaws and all. This acceptance doesn't mean tolerating toxic behavior or mistreatment, but rather acknowledging the inherent imperfection of humanity. By accepting others without judgment, we create space for compassion and understanding. Acceptance allows us to respond to others with empathy, even when their actions or words challenge us. In this way, we foster more harmonious and fulfilling relationships. The role of love and compassion. At the heart of all relationships is love and compassion, and Stoicism does not negate these emotions. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of caring for others and demonstrating love through our actions. However, in the Stoic framework, love is not a form of attachment or dependency. Rather, it is an expression of our shared humanity. Love, in the Stoic sense, is about showing care, kindness, and understanding, not for personal gain, but as an expression of virtue. Compassion becomes the vehicle through which we practice Stoic principles, helping others and lifting them up in their own struggles. It's a love that is rooted in reason and virtue, one that remains steady and unwavering, even when external circumstances are less than ideal. Balancing external relationships with inner peace. In the end, the role of external relationships in the Stoic philosophy of Marcus Aurelius is to provide opportunities for growth, practice in virtue, and connection with others. While relationships are important, they should not dictate our emotional state or our sense of self-worth. By practicing emotional detachment, setting boundaries, and focusing on our internal virtues, we can engage with others in a way that enhances both their lives and our own. The key is to approach relationships with a sense of balance, understanding that while we are interdependent, our true peace and fulfillment must come from within. When we live virtuously and with wisdom, our relationships will naturally reflect this inner harmony, leading to deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Part 5. Living in accordance with nature. The Stoic concept of nature. One of the central tenets of Stoic philosophy, as advocated by Marcus Aurelius, is the idea of living in accordance with nature. To live naturally, according to Stoicism, means to live in harmony with the world as it is, embracing both the order and unpredictability of existence. Nature, for the Stoics, is a force that operates with purpose and reason, and we, as human beings, are an integral part of that natural order. Living in accordance with nature involves understanding our role in the world, recognizing the limitations of our control, and aligning our actions with the universal principles of reason and virtue. In this context, nature is not merely the physical world around us, but also the inherent laws of the universe that govern our thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Embracing the present moment. To live in accordance with nature means to accept the present moment for what it is. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that we are not in control of the past or the future, only the present. The present moment is where our actions, decisions, and thoughts have their greatest impact. In our fast-paced, often chaotic lives, it's easy to become distracted by what lies ahead, or by regrets from the past. However, the Stoic approach teaches us to embrace the here and now, understanding that it is the only moment we truly have control over. Living in accordance with nature requires us to immerse ourselves fully in the present, to engage with life as it unfolds, and to trust that each moment, however fleeting, is part of a larger, purposeful process. Accepting life's impermanence. Another crucial aspect of living in accordance with nature is accepting the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the transient nature of existence, reminding himself that everything in life, both good and bad, is temporary. People, events, circumstances, and even our own lives are fleeting. In this sense, death is not something to fear, but a natural part of the cycle of existence. The Stoics encourage us to accept the inevitable, to see death not as an end, but as a transition that is in line with the natural order of the universe. By embracing the impermanence of life, we free ourselves from the fear of loss and can live more fully in the present. This acceptance of life's transience allows us to appreciate every moment and engage with the world without attachment to outcomes. Aligning actions with virtue. Living in accordance with nature also means aligning our actions with virtue. For Stoics, virtue is the highest good, and it is through living virtuously that we align ourselves with the natural order. Virtue, as Marcus Aurelius taught, involves wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. To live in harmony with nature is to act in a way that reflects these virtues in every aspect of our lives. Whether we are faced with personal challenges, social interactions, or professional decisions, living in accordance with nature means making choices that are grounded in these core virtues. By cultivating virtue, we align ourselves with the natural world and the greater rational order, finding peace and purpose in our actions. Letting go of what we cannot control. A key principle in Stoic philosophy is the recognition that we cannot control everything. There are many aspects of life, from the actions of others to natural events, that are beyond our control. However, what we can control is our response to these external events. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself to focus only on those things within his power and to let go of the rest. To live in accordance with nature is to accept that there are limits to our influence and to focus our energy on what is within our control. By relinquishing the need to control every aspect of our lives, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and frustration. We learn to respond to life's challenges with calm, clarity, and resilience, understanding that we are not meant to control the entire universe, only our own actions and thoughts. Harmony with the universe. The Stoic belief in living in accordance with nature is deeply connected to the concept of harmony with the universe. Marcus Aurelius saw the universe as an interconnected whole, where every part, including ourselves, plays a role in the greater design. The natural world operates according to reason and logic, and as rational beings, we too are part of that cosmic order. By aligning our actions with the natural world, we become more attuned to the rhythms of the universe. This harmony allows us to live with a sense of peace, even in the face of adversity. Rather than fighting against the flow of life, we learn to go with it, trusting that each event, challenge, and triumph is part of a larger purposeful plan. This acceptance of the universe's order brings us into harmony with both the world around us and our own inner nature. Practicing self-sufficiency. Living in accordance with nature also entails developing self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius believed that true contentment comes not from external possessions or circumstances, but from within. By cultivating inner strength and independence, we are better able to navigate the challenges life throws at us. Stoic philosophy teaches us to rely on our own resources, our virtues, our reason, and our inner peace, rather than seeking validation or comfort from external sources. In a world that often promotes materialism and external success, the Stoic path offers a different way, a way of self-reliance, where true happiness is found in living in alignment with our inner nature and the natural world, the unity of all things. Finally, to live in accordance with nature is to recognize the unity of all things. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the idea that all things are interconnected and that the universe operates as one unified system. Our actions, thoughts, and behaviors ripple outward, affecting the world in ways we may not always understand. By living in harmony with nature, we contribute to the greater good, working toward the welfare of the collective whole. This sense of unity fosters compassion, empathy, and a deep respect for the world and all its inhabitants. It reminds us that we are not isolated individuals, but part of a vast, interconnected universe, where every action we take matters. A life aligned with nature. Living in accordance with nature is at the core of Marcus Aurelius' Stoic philosophy. It calls us to accept the present moment, embrace life's impermanence, align our actions with virtue, and let go of the need to control everything. By living in harmony with the natural world, we cultivate inner peace, self-sufficiency, and a deeper connection to the universe. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that when we live in accordance with nature, we live with purpose, balance, and clarity, finding our place within the grand design of the cosmos. This Stoic path leads to a life of tranquility, wisdom, and fulfillment, a life in perfect alignment with the natural world. Part 6. Stoic Mindset for Modern Life. Adapting Stoicism to Modern Challenges. The timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, as taught by Marcus Aurelius, remains remarkably relevant in our fast-paced, often unpredictable modern world. In an age of constant distractions, societal pressures, and emotional turbulence, Stoicism offers a powerful framework for cultivating mental resilience and emotional stability. The Stoic mindset encourages us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. In a world where external circumstances can seem overwhelming, The Stoic approach helps us reframe our perspective, guiding us to respond with clarity, calmness, and purpose. By applying Stoic principles to modern challenges, we can lead more fulfilling and peaceful lives, regardless of the chaos around us. Controlling what you can. One of the most central teachings of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that he could control his thoughts, actions, and reactions, but could not control external events, other people, or the outcomes of situations. This lesson is particularly pertinent in the modern age, where we often feel helpless in the face of global crises, political instability, or personal struggles. The Stoic mindset helps us redirect our energy toward improving what we can control: our response to challenges, our mindset, and our behavior. When we focus on our internal state rather than external events, we regain a sense of agency and inner peace. Emotional resilience in a reactive world. In modern life, emotions often drive our actions, whether through the stress of work, the pressures of social media, or interpersonal conflicts. The Stoic mindset encourages us to practice emotional resilience by observing our emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Marcus Aurelius advised himself to treat emotions as temporary, reminding himself that they arise and dissipate just like waves in the ocean. By detaching ourselves from the immediate emotional reactions to situations, we can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This emotional distance allows us to engage in a more measured and composed manner, even in the most challenging circumstances. In today's reactive world, emotional resilience becomes a vital skill for maintaining well-being and focus. The power of reflection. Stoicism teaches the power of self-reflection, a practice that remains just as essential in the modern world. Marcus Aurelius often wrote in his meditations to reflect on his actions and thoughts at the end of each day. This introspection allowed him to examine his responses to challenges, assess whether they were in alignment with his values, and correct course if necessary. In our busy, distraction-filled lives, we often neglect the importance of pausing and reflecting on our behavior. By adopting regular reflection, we can identify areas of growth, improve our decision-making, and develop greater self-awareness. The Stoic practice of journaling, for instance, can help us cultivate a deeper connection with our inner selves and stay focused on what truly matters. Building a growth mindset. Stoicism is inherently aligned with the concept of a growth mindset. Rather than viewing challenges as obstacles, Stoics see them as opportunities for growth and development. Marcus Aurelius believed that every difficulty we encounter serves as a chance to practice virtue, whether that means showing patience, courage, or resilience. In modern life, where setbacks and failures are inevitable, adopting the Stoic mindset can transform our perception of adversity. Instead of feeling defeated by challenges, we can view them as lessons that help us build strength and wisdom. This shift in perspective allows us to approach life's trials with a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that each obstacle is a chance to improve ourselves. Embracing discomfort for growth. In today's society, comfort and convenience are often seen as goals to be pursued. However, the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the importance of embracing discomfort as a tool for personal growth. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them head-on. In modern life, this could mean stepping out of our comfort zones to pursue our goals, confront our fears, or take on new responsibilities. Whether it's waking up early to achieve more or tackling a difficult conversation with someone, Stoicism encourages us to lean into discomfort and use it as an opportunity to develop resilience. The more we practice enduring discomfort, the more we strengthen our ability to navigate life's uncertainties with grace and composure. Practicing gratitude in a consumer-driven society. In an era dominated by materialism and consumerism, Stoicism teaches us to cultivate gratitude for what we already have, rather than constantly striving for more. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself to be grateful for the simple things in life, such as good health, meaningful relationships, and the ability to live virtuously. By focusing on what we already possess, we shift our attention away from what we lack, creating a sense of abundance and contentment. In the modern world, where advertising and social media often create unrealistic standards of success and happiness, practicing gratitude becomes an antidote to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. The Stoic mindset invites us to appreciate the present moment and find joy in the things that truly matter, developing a strong sense of purpose. The Stoic mindset encourages us to live with purpose, focusing on what is meaningful and valuable in life. For Marcus Aurelius, this meant dedicating himself to the service of others and the pursuit of wisdom. In our modern world, where distractions are plentiful and instant gratification is within reach, it can be easy to lose sight of what truly matters. However, by adopting a Stoic approach, we can reconnect with our deeper sense of purpose, guiding our actions with clarity and intention. Whether our purpose is in our work, our relationships, or personal growth, the Stoic mindset reminds us to stay focused on what aligns with our values and long-term goals. A modern Stoic approach to life. Adopting a Stoic mindset in modern life means embracing challenges with resilience, practicing emotional self-control, and focusing on what we can control. It involves cultivating gratitude, building a growth mindset, and living in alignment with our values. By following the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and applying Stoic principles to our daily lives, we can navigate the complexities of the modern world with calmness, clarity, and purpose. In the face of uncertainty and adversity, the Stoic mindset offers a timeless path to personal peace and fulfillment. Conclusion. The teachings of Marcus Aurelius and Stoic philosophy offer us invaluable insights into living a life of purpose, resilience, and inner peace. While the world around us constantly changes, the core principles of Stoicism remain steadfast. By walking our path alone, embracing discomfort, and accepting what we cannot control, we empower ourselves to navigate life with wisdom and clarity. Through reflection, emotional resilience, and gratitude, we can cultivate a Stoic mindset that not only helps us overcome challenges, but also enriches our lives with meaning and fulfillment. As we apply Stoic principles to our modern world, we find that they are more than just ancient wisdom. They are a guide to living authentically, in harmony with our values, and in service to a greater purpose. In a society that often demands instant gratification and external validation, the Stoic approach offers a refreshing perspective. Focus on what lies within your control and cultivate a life that reflects your truest self. The Stoic journey is not an easy one, but it is a deeply rewarding one. By living with purpose, embracing discomfort, and cultivating gratitude, we can walk the path that Marcus Aurelius envisioned, a path that leads to peace, fulfillment, and strength. In the end, the Stoic mindset is not just a philosophy. It is a way of living that empowers us to thrive in the face of adversity and to find true freedom in the life we create for ourselves.